Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unlocking the actual mechanics of real-world English. If you've ever wondered how the words we use every single day function out there in the wild, outside of a dusty textbook, well, you're in the exact right place. We're going to explore this incredibly powerful tool called SKELL, and trust me, it's going to completely change how you look at human communication.
Section 1. How language is actually used. Okay, let's dive into this and look at the core goal of modern linguistics, which is understanding language exactly as it exists in the real world.
Traditionally, we rely a whole lot on strict grammar rules and, well, our own gut intuition to understand English. And hey, that's definitely helpful as a starting point. But honestly, it misses the full picture. Authentic communication is dynamic, it's constantly evolving, and it's wonderfully messy. The goal here isn't to prescribe how language should be used, but to observe how it actually is used in its natural habitat. By looking at real-world data, we move away from just guessing based on some rigid rulebook, and we start observing true, living patterns.
Section 2. Introducing the SKELL tool. Let's look at the tool that perfectly bridges the gap between linguistic theory and real-world English. So, how do we bridge that massive gap between dry theory and the vibrant reality of English? Meet SKELL. It's a completely free online tool that lets us explore words using authentic, real-world examples. It literally hands you the keys to a vast database of human communication. And because it's built strictly on authentic texts, we're talking news articles, blogs, books, the whole shebang, we know these examples aren't just fabricated for a controlled classroom environment. They are the real deal, spoken and written by actual people.
When you search for a word, SKELL gives you this really vital metric alongside the sentences: hits per million words. To put that into perspective, this number gives us an immediate, super reliable idea of how common a word actually is in everyday use. It lets us gauge frequency without getting bogged down in complex statistics or staring at endless spreadsheets. Instantly, you know if you're dealing with a highly common everyday verb or some obscure, highly specialized term.
Section 3. Exploring the teach family. All right, let's slow things down a bit here. We're going to walk through a hands-on case study together.
Let's move to and see how this builds. Here's our roadmap for exploring the teach word family. Step 1. We start by searching for the base word teach. Step 2. We search for teacher. And finally, Step 3. Teaching. Through these 3 simple steps, we're going to watch the structure and function of the language evolve right before our eyes. We'll see how even the slightest modifications can shift absolutely everything.
As we pull up these authentic examples for teach, I want you to do more than just passively read the sentences. Really look closely. Ask yourself, how is the word being used and what does it mean in these contexts? What actions are associated with teach and who is actually doing the teaching? Are there common subjects or objects constantly popping up alongside it? Pinpointing these natural pairings is where the real learning happens.
Now for Step 2, let's search teacher. Notice how the meaning shifts drastically from our previous results? We've just added 2 little letters, E and R, and suddenly we've moved from an action, to teach, to the actual person performing that action. The surrounding context changed completely. The verbs that follow teacher are entirely different. The adjectives describing a teacher are specific to humans, and the whole grammatical structure transforms to accommodate a noun instead of a verb.
Finally, Step 3. We search teaching. Do different forms appear in different contexts or serve different functions? Absolutely they do. Exploring this reveals that teaching can act as a verb, denoting an ongoing action, or even as a noun describing an entire profession or methodology. The contexts shift entirely depending on the grammatical role the word is playing within that authentic sentence.
Section 4. Questions for language exploration. Now that we've looked at our specific case study, let's pivot to the broader methodology.
So the crucial point is that to explore any word effectively, you really want to let 4 vital questions guide your analysis. First, which form appears most frequently? Second, how does the meaning change across slight variations? Third, what broader patterns do you notice emerging across the examples? And ultimately, how are the words actually used in authentic communication? Keeping these questions in mind is your key to unlocking deep linguistic insights, turning raw data into a genuine understanding of how we speak.
Section 5. Patterns over perfect numbers. All right, let's pick up the pace a bit because this next part is an incredibly empowering mindset shift regarding how we approach language data.
Here is a wildly liberating thought. You do not need to count exact numbers or perform complex analyses. Seriously, no math required. Instead of getting lost in the digits, I want you to focus purely on making observations and identifying general patterns. Let the tool do the heavy lifting of gathering the data. Your only job is just to notice how the words behave and interact with the vocabulary around them.
And this brilliantly illustrates why this data-driven approach works so well. Tools like SKELL propel us completely beyond isolated, artificial textbook examples that, let's be honest, often lack real context. Instead, they give us a clear, immediate view of living language exactly as it's utilized by real speakers and writers out in the world today. It bridges that gap between what we think we say and what we actually say.
Exploring these authentic patterns provides immense value across the board. It's packed with insights for linguistic students diving into theory. It's an absolute game changer for language learners trying to sound more natural. It's an essential resource for teachers designing effective lessons. And honestly, it's perfectly suited for anyone who is simply curious about how human communication actually functions on a day-to-day basis.
Think about your own daily conversations. Think about the emails you write or the quick texts you send to your friends. What patterns are hiding in the words you use every single day? Language is like a living, breathing puzzle, and now you have the exact tool you need to go out and solve it. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy exploring.